Hey guys, Chris here, and welcome to the 10 to 80% average charging speed and charging time test, where we put the manufacturer's claimed charging speed to the test. And Volkswagen claimed that this ID.3 with the 58 kilowatt hour battery pack has a peak speed of 100 kilowatts. So we will be testing that today. But more importantly, we are testing the time it takes to go from 10 to 80% stated charge, as well as the average speed you get from 10 to 80% stated charge. Because in my opinion, that is much more interesting than your actual peak speed, because your peak speed is often over a short period over the charging curve. So your average speed and also the time it takes from 10 to 80% is much more interesting and much more useful. And also at the end of the test, we will be generating a charging curve to see if, well, maybe it will be beneficial to stop charging at 60%, maybe 70%, or maybe 80% stated charge to be on your way as quickly as possible, because charging above a certain stated charge in many EVs is very slow and doesn't make any sense on a long trip. And also, if you're asking yourself why 10 to 80% stated charge, well, in my opinion, that is the actual useful usage of a battery on a long trip. So you come to a charging point with around 10% stated charge. That is quite normal. You may have a little bit less, you may have a little bit more, but around 10%. And often you don't want to go to more than 80%. Of course, in some EVs that is 50, it may be 60, it may be 70, but in most EVs it is below 80% stated charge. So that's where we're going to 80% stated charge here. And also, I usually do some artificial heating of the battery while doing these tests. So these tests are, as equal as possible. And I have actually tested this ID.3, or not this particular ID.3, but the ID.3 with the 58 kilowatt hour battery pack earlier, where I did yo-yo driving. And yeah, we have the result of that. It impressed immensely. It hit its peak speed right away while yo-yo driving. And if you don't know what yo-yo driving is, that is a technique to artificially heat up the battery, where you accelerate, do acceleration run after acceleration run to load the battery and generate heat within the battery, which will give you in turn better charging speed when you connect to a charger. But we have done that test already. Link in the description box down below to see that. It was colder, but again, it really did have the effect that I intended for. But in this video, we're just going to go on a normal motorway run and then connect to a charger. We're currently at 51% stated charge, so I think we're going to drive about an hour, maybe a little bit more than an hour on a motorway, deplete the battery down to below 10% stated charge, and then connect to a charger, and then see what kind of charging speed we do get. Okay guys, we are now done with the charging session, but before we connected to the charger, we were on the road for 1 hour and 14 minutes and we covered 119 kilometers with an average speed of 95 kilometers an hour and an average consumption of 19.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So a completely normal motorway run under normal conditions, no yo-yo driving, nothing, artificial at all, just normal driving and then connecting to a charger, which should simulate, real world conditions. Okay, so we connected to the charger with 6% state of charge, and I'm going to overlay the video here. And we immediately hit that 101 maximum speed. Quite impressive, 101 kilowatts, and we kept that speed all the way up till 28% stated charge. So flat all the way from 10 to 28% stated charge, which is super impressive. And then at around 28% stated charge, we start to throttle quite slowly, dropping down to 83 kilowatts at 40%. So dropping off, and then the drop off is slows down a bit. So at 50% stated charge, we are down to 72 kilowatts. And then at 60%, we are down to 60 kilowatts. And then at 70% stated charge, we hit 48 kilowatts, which is the speed we keep all the way up till 80% state of charge. So the charging curve is flat from 10 to 80%, 28% stated charge. And then it just drops off quite slowly, so not an aggressive fall. And then it's flat again from 70 to 80% stated charge, which is a super impressive charging curve. So the whole charging session took 34 minutes, and in that time we were delivered 40.796 kilowatt hours. So if we take that 34 minutes, we convert that to metrics, that is 34.0 minutes. or 0.57 hours. So we take that time divided by the juice delivered, which was 40.796 kilowatt hours. We get an average charging speed of 71.6 kilowatts, which is super impressive. You know, the car having a peak speed of 100 kilowatts and then having an average speed of 71.6 kilowatts from 10 to 80%. Yeah, that is super, super impressive, and actually a bit better than the last charging session we had with this car when it was colder, when we did the yo-yoing before connecting to a charger. So very, very impressive. Okay, so we take the 70% stated charge that is usable between 10 and 80%, and then we calculate that towards the WLTP to see what kind of charging speed we get in kilometers an hour and kilometers per minute, which is what people have been requesting. So that is a new addition to these tests. So we're using the WLTP because, well, that is the easiest to get the data from. And we're going to use that for every car, so the measurement should be equal. But that gives us 294 kilometers of range, and in hours, that is 515.8 kilometers per hour gained in charging. Or convert that to minutes, that is 8.59 kilometers per minute, which is again slightly better than the charging session we had when it was colder, which gave us 8.5 kilometers per minute. And still, it's about mid-pack. It isn't as good as, you know, the top tier luxury EVs, and also the EVs with bigger battery packs, like something like a Ford Mach-E. But it's still considerably better than something like a Peugeot E2008 and all the other cars that, you know, we have done this charging session with similar sized battery packs, like the Kia e-Soul and of course the Peugeot E2008. And comparing it to that, it is super, super impressive. I mean, everything else with this battery pack doesn't charge this fast. So I mean, considering the battery size, it is super, super impressive, and there is no other EV in this price or this, you know, class of vehicle that charges as fast as this. And, you know, the 77 kilowatt hour version that will be coming in the future of the ID.3 will be very interesting to see just how quickly that also charges. So, you know, by how it is now, I am very impressed, but I'm wishing that we could get the charging speed down to around 30 minutes from 10 to 80% stated charge, because studies have shown that a lot of people will be jumping into EVs when the charging session is down to 30 minutes, but still we aren't that far off. And in my opinion, that is still very impressive. So guys, let me know what you think of the charging session down below. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, guys, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.